Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1304B, and today's date is June 12th, 2017, and the title of the episode is "That Trap Has Been Set for the Criminal Empire. It's Only a Matter of Time." Let's get into the economic collapse, political, and geopolitical news. Now, we know since Trump has become president, he tried to push out a travel ban, and he really can't get any traction on this whatsoever. We know that the 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals, well, they placed an injunction on the travel ban. Trump then rewrote the travel ban, resubmitted the travel ban, and basically they did the same exact thing. Now that Trump is taking this issue to the Supreme Court, the 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals, well, they upheld an injunction barring enforcement of key provisions of the travel ban. But he's still taking this up to the Supreme Court. Now, we need to remember the 9th Circuit Court's decision comes as the Supreme Court reviews a petition submitted by the Department of Justice to review a separate ruling from the 4th Circuit, which also barred enforcement of the order. Now, it looks like what these court systems are doing, it looks like they're broadcasting a message to the Supreme Court saying, yes, look, it's not just one circuit court, it's two now, and you need to look at what we have ruled on when you do your ruling. And it looks like they're basically trying to bully the Supreme Court into doing what they want. But we'll see what happens. Now, during the hearing with Comey said some interesting thing. Now, remember when he was saying that he didn't trust Trump, he was going to lie, and he thought he might need to take some notes to protect himself. And again, where is the memo? He didn't produce it during the Senate hearings. The Senate didn't even ask for the memo until he was already at the hearing, which I thought they should have asked for ahead of time. Instead, he wrote up a complete different statement and then submitted that to the Senate. And his friend actually read that memo over the phone to the New York Times, and nobody knows where it is right now. And I have a funny feeling we're never going to see it. But when he was investigating Clinton, and he's such a great note taker and he's really meticulous, how come he didn't take notes during that period of time? Because he trusted her so much? I mean, if he's really investigating, wouldn't he take notes? Where are those notes? And of course, there are none. And what we're seeing right now is that there's a complete cover-up going on. The deep state, well, they are working with each other to cover up each other's crimes. And what is happening right now, and it's happening very slowly because you just can't come out and try to basically unmask everything that's going on because the general public will not believe. I mean, look what happened when Trump was out there and he kept on saying fake news. Well, the corporate media was continually fighting back at Trump, calling him a liar, trying to discredit him, but it turned out that almost everything that he said was coming out true. And the corporate media had a problem with this. The same thing happened with Comey. He was out there and he was saying all these things, and they were looking at Comey saying, no, Comey, he's going to testify. He's going to show that there was an obstruction of justice, that he was being investigated, and all of that wasn't true. And Trump, again, told the truth. Trump now says that he has tapes. And I really shouldn't say tapes. I should say recordings because that's an old way of thinking of it. He most likely has digital recordings of the conversation. Now, of course, the corporate media is out there saying there's no such recordings. I even see a report out there saying the Secret Service has no recordings whatsoever. Well, I think he did these in private without anyone else knowing about it. Why? Because there's leaks. He can't trust any of these individuals. And if he says there's recordings, I'm pretty sure there's recordings. Just like he said Obama was spying on him, and guess what? Obama was spying on him. All these things that he's saying, they are true. But look how people react to it because it sounds so far-fetched. It sounds like this can't be true. They can't believe right now. And this is why when everyone's like, well, he should drain the swamp, he should do this, he should do that. First of all, what he needs to do, and he is doing it, he needs to build trust. He needs to, and this is exactly what he's doing. Brilliant strategy. He needs to show the public, I'm telling the truth. I'm telling the truth. The corporate media is lying. the corporate media is lying. And he can't do this once or twice. He has to do this many, many times because he has to earn the trust of the people. Right now, the people do not trust him, except those people that voted for Trump. The rest of the people in the corporate media, nothing. He needs to bring everyone to his side. He needs to show people that the things that I'm saying, they're not far-fetched, they're not crazy. This is what's really happening. Now, we have Jeff Sessions, who's going to testify in front of the Senate Intel Committee. Now, Comey told his story, his side of the situation. Now it's Sessions' turn, and we'll see what comes out of this. And I'm sure it's not going to be favorable to Comey. It's not going to be favorable to the deep state, because we can see right now Trump and his organization, those individuals that are fighting against the deep state, right now they have the upper hand. The truth will always win out, because you'll always get caught up in lies, in timelines. Just like Comey, he's getting caught up in everything that he's been saying, and people are pointing it out. We've pointed it out, where the timelines don't make sense. Trump, as long as he stays with the facts and the truth, they can hammer at it all they want, but in the end, it will stand strong and shiny, and there'll be nothing they can do about it. Propaganda falls to the wayside. Lies fall to the wayside, and there's nothing they can do about trying to repair that situation. So we can see right now his strategy is to build the trust of the nation. This is something that takes a little bit of time, because once you start building the trust and you have the trust, guess what you can do with it? Anything you want. And this is what he's doing. Now, the deep state, they are still firing back. They are still pushing in all different directions. We see that the people right now, they don't have any trust in the government. Most of the people surveyed by Gallup, they think the individuals in Congress, they're corrupt. Well, they are. And this is right. And we could see right now that the federal government, the trust in the federal government, well, 52% say they don't trust the federal government right now. The government has no trust whatsoever because of all the lies, all the criminal cover-ups, everything that's been going on for all this time. And we can see that it's a very slow process in turning all this around. And again, you need to basically trap the deep state. You need to trap them in their lies. You need to trap them out in their operations out overseas in the Middle East. And you need to back them in a corner. This is what he is doing right now. And at every turn, this is what we see happening. Now, out in the Philippines, the deep state, well, they're pushing terrorists within the Philippines because they really want Duterte out of there. But we could see already that things are going in the opposite direction. We see that the forces in the Philippines, they've raised the flag and they're showing the troops, listen, we are behind you. We're raising the flag because right now we're going to get rid of the terrorist group. Now, the terrorists only control about 10% of the country. And I don't think it's going to take that long for Duterte to basically go in there and clear the way. Now, the whole crisis with Qatar and what is happening there are many different agendas associated with this. I don't think there's just one. There's never just one. There's always multiple agendas. One of the main ones is that Trump right now is going after the deep state. We know there's training camps. We know this is where a lot of the terrorists are being trained. We know that a lot of money has been funneled through this country, Qatar, not just this country, but many other countries. But this is one of the main ones. And we're going to see a breakdown of many others where we're going to see this is where these covert funds of dark pools of money, they've been flowing into the terrorists, funding them, supporting them in Iraq, in Syria, in Libya, and many other countries. And basically right now, we could see that Trump visited the Middle East. And it's amazing how this all started after his visit to the Middle East, where he said that the funding to all these countries, it's going to be cut off. You're not going to receive any more money for the moderate rebels or any of these things. It's all coming to an end, and we need to go after the terrorists. So what is happening right now is they're really not going after the country. They're forcing the deep state out of Qatar. That's what they're doing. They're pushing and pushing, trying to get them out of this country and everything that they've been working on inside. Because we could see right now, by cutting them off from the world and making them kind of suffer, they're trying to get the deep state out of there. That's their whole agenda right now. And we could see that Qatar is going to have to make a move one way or another, saying, okay, we need to clear house in our country. These individuals need to be removed. And I think this is what's in process right now. This is why the Kuwaiti foreign minister has stepped in, and it looks like they're trying to negotiate how this can be done. Now, all these other countries are saying, listen, we don't want to have anything to do with the terrorists. Even though we supported them before and we funded them before, we were behind them before, the funding is being cut off. Everything that's been happening for the last many, many years, it's coming to an end. So we need to change our direction. And it looks like this is what they're doing at this point. Now, Qatar has been shut off with a naval blockade, but they're still receiving supplies for the people. Now, the people, yes, this is a problem for those people living in the country because they're not getting food. Supplies are going to be cut off, and it's going to be very difficult to get certain things. This is why Russia and Iran have been stepping in, giving food supplies. This is why they're allowing ships to come in from Oman into this area, and this is where they're getting their supplies at this point. So they can say, yes, we still have the blockade, but the supplies are going to be coming in for the civilians of the country. And we can see that Iran is helping, Russia's helping, and this is all about flushing out the deep state. Now, there are other things happening at the same time, and we might even see a lot of these countries merge with each other, where maybe Qatar might be part of Saudi Arabia, other countries might be part, because we're going to have to see how this all plays out. This was all set up back in the 70s, and these countries became very, very wealthy off of the petrodollar. Before, they were very poor countries. Things are changing right now. They're going to be coming off the petrodollar. The dollar will not be the reserve currency anymore, and things are going to change in their country. This is why Saudi Arabia, this is why Bahrain and all the other countries are making deals and looking, Egypt, looking at Russia, looking at China, because they understand things are about to change. Now, what's very interesting is that in the New York Times and the Washington Post, they're reporting that the U.S. is using white phosphorus in densely populated areas of Iraq and Syria. Now, white phosphorus, well, this is a war crime under the international treaties and domestic U.S. laws. And it seems that they're reporting on this, trying to get to Trump, saying that he authorized this. And they've been doing this for many, many years. We've been reporting on this, on how the U.S., Israel, they use white phosphorus. And what they're trying to do is say, look, and if you notice how they're reporting on it now, because they're trying to trap Trump in where he is using white phosphorus in his countries. I think what's going to happen, this is going to backfire on them, because he's going to show that the deep state and certain individuals, and remember, most of these people in the Pentagon, in Congress, there are going to be a lot of arrests. There are going to be a lot of people going to jail. Not just yet, because remember, win the trust, show how these things aren't true. And this is what he's going to do. So I think this story is going to backfire, and he's going to turn it around eventually and show how the deep state, certain individuals, have authorized the use of white phosphorus in these countries. And a lot of stuff's going to come out, and it's going to shock America. Now, the other things that are coming out is that Iran, we mentioned this before, they're saying that, yes, we have proof that the United States government, central bankers, the deep state, they've been supporting the Islamic State. Now, we've known this for a very long time. When we first mentioned it, people thought it was crazy that the United States supported Al-Qaeda, the Islamic State, and the rest of the terrorist group. No, this can't be true. And Iran is coming out with the proof. Russia is also coming out saying, yes, they're giving safe passage. They're giving them supplies. They've been funding them. The reason why all this is coming out is because this is going to be used later on. And they're building the cases saying that they have definite proof that certain individuals have been directing the Islamic State, supporting them, supplying them, and covertly funding them through dark pools of money. And we're going to see how more of this comes out. Now, the deep state, they're not just going to sit back and put their feet up and say, yeah, try it, we're not going to do anything. They realize that the walls are closing in around them. And what is very concerning, and we mentioned this going way back in many, many reports about some type of cyber attack, about a power grid scenario where the whole power grid goes down. Now, I don't mean throughout the whole country. I mean in certain areas. And what's very interesting is that this company came out and they said they finally figured out what happened out in Ukraine. Now, remember, it was blamed on Russia. Now they're backing off of that, and they're saying that, well, we don't know exactly who created this malware, and this was used in Kiev back in December 17th, and all of a sudden, the power grid went down. And what they're saying is that this malware, it is called crash override, and they're saying that it is a genuine cyber weapon that can map out a power station's control network and with minimal human guidance issue malicious commands directly to critical equipment. Now, only once before has the world seen malware designed for such sabotage. Guess when this was? It was 2010. It's called Stuxnet. Who created this? The United States. It was used against Iran's nuclear program. Crash override is the first to target civilians and the first such malware built to target a nation's power supply. Now, this can't be delivered over the internet. It has to be done within the power grid station. And basically what they're saying is that this crash override piece of malware, it is a complete nightmare. The malware in its current state would be usable for every power plant in Europe and the United States. And it is built to cause regional outages, and in its current form doesn't have the capability to start a cascade on the order of the 2003 Northeast U.S. blackout, nor to be easily repurposed to target other industrial control systems like water treatment plants or gas pipelines. So what I believe is going to happen here, and I believe that this was created by our intelligence agency, the CIA. They were testing it out in Kiev. And the 2003 power outage was to see if they can cause a cascading effect, which they did. But what I think is going to happen, once the deep state realizes that they have a no-win situation, the troops, and I say they're troops, they're paid mercenary terrorist groups in Iraq and Syria, as they're cut off from their funding, as they're trapped in Syria, and they're completely losing their footing in these countries, well, this is when they're going to start to realize they need to do something. When they lose the narrative in this country and they lose their grip here in the United States, and the Trump administration and those individuals that are trying to drive them out take more and more of control, they're going to resort to an event. And they're going to use this to create havoc throughout the country. I think this is going to be their last-ditch effort to take control back. And I wouldn't be surprised if the power systems go out and then they can say, yes, the financial institutions were hit. They'll say the banks have to be closed. I mean, there's a whole scenario that they've been planning on for a very long time. When they were going to use it, we don't know, but it looks like we're coming up to that point where they're getting ready to use it. And these stories that are coming out saying that now they don't know who created it, but it's very dangerous. It could be used throughout Europe. It could be used in the United States. It shows you that they're creating this story, this narrative of what they're going to use. Just like they were using the narrative that North Korea was cyber attacking Sony, North Korea cyber attacking other areas, when they really don't have the ability to do this. So they're creating this whole narrative, and they're getting ready to do this, because I think what's going to happen is once things start to go south and the economy starts to collapse, they're going to have to basically explain away why they can't recover it, because the stimulus is not going to work. They're going to try it. And like I said, it will work in the beginning, maybe for the 2-3 months, 4 months, maybe at the tops, and then it'll start to falter. This is when they'll start using the event, because they know they can't improve the economy. So they're going to have to show why the economy is not going to improve. And what they'll do is they will actually have some type of cyber attack at the power grid level, at the financial institution level. They might even say that North Korea launched a ballistic missile at the United States, even though there was no launch. They'll tell you they're tracking something, and we might even fire back to start the war. So this is what we've been looking at. This is what we're seeing. Hopefully it doesn't come down to any of this, but we can see once they become very desperate, they will resort to these type of actions, because they've tried all the legal type of scenarios. With Trump, I think it's going absolutely nowhere. They know this, and now they're moving to the next level. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.